And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Hawk Talk. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. We have quarterback Max Sexton coming along a little bit later. We've got Pee Wee football players in the house. We're at the Hilton Garden Inn. We do this every Monday night at the Hilton, and we welcome you to come by, furnish your questions, listen to our show. We talk IUP football, 6 to 7 o'clock. We do that each and every Monday. Well, the team is now in with a record of 6-0. And the AFCA rankings came out today. IUP's up to number 13. Seton Hill is the next chapter. And Coach, up to Edinboro it was 41-0. You came away with a victory there. I don't want to say it was easy because nothing's ever easy. In fact, the way you started out, you drove down the field and missed a field goal.
Yeah, that was disappointing, but we responded pretty quickly, got a stop on defense, got the ball back and went right down the field again and then scored again before the end of the first quarter. So I think that was a key. That could have been a momentum shift at the beginning of the game. Obviously, we were heavily favored in the game, and you don't ever want to give a team any hope at the beginning, and we did by driving down the field and missing a short field goal. But really, it shouldn't even came to that. We had a run play that would have walked in the end zone, and we dropped the pitch. I think it was Younger took his eye off the ball, looking at the defense, and obviously you can't do that. But it was a good call. We had it matched up. We had it blocked up. It would have walked in, but we missed the field goal. It was tough conditions kicking. The wind was really bad at certain times, but we gave them momentum right off the bat, but we got it right back. So, that team's shown our team has shown a penchant for being able to overcome some things that don't go our way and then kind of respond right away and get our momentum going. So
well, not only that, scoring once, but you scored 5 straight times.
Right,
I think.
Right.
Yeah. So you bounce back pretty strong. When you take a look, the wind situation, people say, well, you talk about the wind, this and that. It seemed to be, and you were down below. I'm up in the press box. That it was a swirling time.
Right.
In other words, sometimes you were going maybe with the wind, other times against it.
And it was a crosswind that was going towards our sideline. So probably the worst thing at the beginning is we were kicking a field goal from our right hash, and the wind was blowing towards our sideline. So he mishit it, but the wind did have play a factor in it. It was a tough angle. If I had to do it all over again, I may have taken a 5-yard delay game penalty and gave him a better angle and got the ball moved back a little bit. But he knows he shouldn't miss it, but those things happen, and we just got to move on and play the next play.
Well, the offense was just tremendous. You had 607 yards total offense. You almost had 400 at the half. So, we've talked before what you say to a team at the half, maybe when it's closer, you're behind. What do you say when you have a 35-0 lead?
We talked about winning the second half. Basically, I said, hey, in Monday's meeting, which was today, I said, we're going to talk about who won the second half. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. And we ended up winning at 6-0. Our defense played very well the whole game. And then offensively, we moved the ball the whole second half also. Our number 2 offense the last 2 series went about 120 yards against their number 1 defense. And we didn't put any points on the board, but we controlled the ball to the point where I think we had the ball 38 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. So we kept their offense off the field. Those kind of games, it's interesting. You play great the whole game, and the game's kind of out of hand, and then the other team scores at the end of the game, and everybody gets mad. So it was nice that didn't happen, in a selfish way. And both our offense and our defense did a good job. And shutouts are hard to come by. Back in the old days, you'd get a couple a year. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, the way football is, you can't take a shutout for granted. They don't come around very often. So the defense was really happy that they were able to come out of there with a shutout.
You got a chance, as you mentioned, to play a lot of players. And one of our listeners here said after every offensive play, 3 or more players go in, and you take 3 out. How do you determine that set?
Yeah, well,
everybody seems to know what they're doing.
We have there's a method to the madness. We have different groupings that we call out, where certain positions and certain players are only particular groupings. We have a grouping, with a color name, and then we also have another grouping with the same color, but we'll throw in front of it speed red or heavy blue. So it's still the same grouping, but it's actually a personnel change within the grouping. And our offensive coaches and Coach Wilson and Coach Bryce and really the whole offensive staff, but Coach Bryce is dealing with the substitutions. We haven't, knock on wood, had one time where we had to call a timeout because we didn't have the right grouping on the field, where we weren't ready. We didn't have 11 players on the field. It's not as easy as it looks, and I can only say that our offensive staff has done a great job with that.
Yeah, that's amazing what you get done, that's for sure. Back to the defense for just a moment, because you and I have talked over these weeks and different times on the pregame about how the team comes about, how you're resilient and all of that sort of thing, and you needed to get more takeaways than giveaways, so that's starting to happen. Couple of interceptions again. I want to run one of them because last week we talked about Darius Bruce. Now I know Ronye Mitchell didn't make ESPN, but I got to tell you,
that was a great interception.
That was a tremendous interception. Maybe talk about that a little bit, and did he get some accolades from the play? Here it is here on video.
We had Maurice Fizel knock the pass down and got it in the air, and for a guy 6'4", 310 pounds to come away with the tip pass, and he's still getting blocked. That's a pretty athletic play for a big guy.
Oh, it was just amazing. It really was. We had shots there from each angle, each side. Yeah, that was just tremendous. Max Sexton's going to be coming in with us here.
Right.
You have the quarterback coming in. I have some things that I thought talk about him. Whenever you got him, whenever you knew that he was coming to IUP, from the time that you started to work with him in the spring up to the present time when you've played 6 games, what's the biggest thing that he contributes to this team?
Well, he's got, first of all, a lot of talent. Like Saturday, for instance, it was very windy. It didn't affect his ball at all. He threw 2 comebacks in the second quarter going into the wind on the opposite sideline. It was pretty impressive. And you got to have talent. But he's a good demeanor about him. He's not a big talker, but when he talks when he needs to. The players are really happy with his leadership and how he goes about his business. He continues to get better every week. He's now more in tune with the offense. He's reading defense. Like Saturday, one of his best plays is they were sitting in his zone and they all dropped deep. He just threw the check down to DeJour Stewart, and it ended up being a 25-yard gain because DeJour gained 18 yards after the catch. Like, that's where he's getting to now. He's getting to his other options. He missed 2 throws Saturday. The one was bang, bang. The defender made a really good play. And then on the 2-point play, there was it was a little cloudy up, with the front, and somebody got their hand on it and knocked the ball down. Those were the only 2 incompletions. So he's doing a good job with run-pass options. We had numerous third down and, well, I won't say numerous, but we ran the ball on 3rd and 4th down a couple times in pass situations because we got a soft box, and he audible to the run, and we made the first down every time. He did it on a 2-point play also. They gave us a soft box, so we ran the ball for the 2-point play. So he's really gotten better at a lot of things. He's got a great feel for it being in the pocket and how his offensive line protects him. And he gets the ball out quick. We have only given up 2 sacks all year. Obviously, great offensive line play, but also we have a quarterback that gets the ball out very quick.
And, in addition to Mac, you got to give credit to Logan Horn, who came in, played that 4th quarter, and the combined 19 for 21. The 2 of them is a completion percentage record at IUP. That's 90%. That's great production.
Yeah, it was, and it was a big pass that Horn made later in the game. We were backed up on our own 10-yard line. So if we get stopped there, you're probably going to give Edinboro field position around the 50, and you're going to have to stop them to preserve the shutout, obviously. But he hit a switch route with Nolan Labuda for a big pass to get us a first down, and then I believe R.J. Younger had a big run to get us onto the other side of the 50, and we kind of wish that second unit would have scored a touchdown. We got stopped on about the 30 when the game was still going on. I mean, there was still 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, and then we got the ball back, and then we took a knee at the end there once we got it down to about the 20, and we knew that they couldn't stop the clock. So we'd have liked to have the two offense get a touchdown, but they moved the ball. They gained 120 yards in 2 series.
Good deal. And it was great to see them play, too, because I know that they work hard at practice each and every day. Question, redshirt freshman is understood as a non-playing freshman. Your roster shows redshirt sophomores, juniors, seniors. What does this represent?
Well, it just means they redshirted when they were freshmen. Like, if you see a true sophomore playing, he's never redshirted. He still has a red shirt if you want to use it. If you see redshirt junior, that means he did redshirt when he was a freshman. Mm-hmm. So a redshirt junior, this would be his 4th year in the program. Redshirt sophomore, and now when you throw COVID in, they actually have a whole extra year.
That's what I was going to say.
COVID, but the redshirt part is not taking COVID out of it. It just means they've been redshirted. Like, we have had obviously numerous guys never redshirt. So you won't ever see redshirt in front of their name. Mm-hmm. I think right now out of the 30 freshmen that we brought in, 25 of them we're hoping to redshirt, and the way it looks, that's the way it's going to be, and we're playing 5 true freshmen right now.
Yeah, I was going to say it was around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be back in just a moment with Hawk Talk. We're live here at the Hilton Garden Inn. We have a lot of folks, youngsters here, Pee Wee football team from Indiana. We're going to talk about tickets for this coming Saturday, too, involving the Indiana School District. All of that coming up. Quarterback Max Sexton is going to join us, too, with Coach Paul Tortorella. Back in a moment, it's Hawk Talk live from the Hilton Garden Inn, and we'll be back on U92Radio.com and also on U92 Facebook page.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Come join us in celebrating our grandfather Red Dowd's induction into the Indiana County Business Hall of Fame.
To celebrate, we can't think of anything better than to combine 2 of Dowd's most popular sales.
To honor his legacy and celebrate our 72nd anniversary, we're offering up to 72% off selected floor sample clearance items. Plus, save on all custom orders with every other item up to 1/2 off.
Come celebrate with us, Dowd's of Plumville and Dowd's of Greensburg.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including
Everybody, it's Hawk Talk. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. We'll have special guests coming up here in just a little bit, and we have some special guests in the audience tonight watching the show here at the C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen. I want to welcome the Indiana Little Indians youth 9 and 10-year-old football team. Just finished an outstanding season. They were 5-1, advanced to the league championship game. We have shots of them right there. They just had a tremendous year, and Coach Doug Steve is with us too, so we welcome them aboard. We're glad that they came in and joined us here. It's always good to have, as they say, a cast of thousands, and who knows if you're going to be around long enough to coach these guys, or I'm going to be around long enough. I know.
I don't know about that.
I'll do the same thing you're doing.
We'll see.
Here's the next question, Coach, from one of our fans here, one of our listeners, viewers. Greater use of Adam Hauser in that game, and I was going to ask you too. Was that pre-planned that you?
Yeah, I mean he's healthy. We really have 3 running backs with obviously DeJour, Younger, and Adam. So certain runs fit him maybe a little more than R.J. Younger, and sometimes certain runs fit R.J. a little more than Adam. Adam caught a swing pass. He's a pretty good receiver. Both pretty good in protection, but, we ran the ball a good bit. We ran for 260 yards, and we used all three of them. We used Parker Gregg down in the red zone and in short yardage goal line. So you never can have enough running backs, and they're all good players. So, that'll continue.
Is this as great a depth at running back that you've had in a while?
Yeah, because knock on wood, we've stayed healthy. In past years, we'd go into a season, unfortunately, we'd have 4 running backs, and by the end of the year, we were down to 2. So, when you can really rep 3 running backs, you keep them fairly healthy. Like, you could go out there and run du jour 28, 30 times, but that's really not what you want to do. Because the running back, they're getting hit every time they have the ball. They're involved in protection. They're blocking. They get beat down pretty good. So, and it's a long year. So if you can play with 3 running backs, and we're playing actually with 4, it's very beneficial.
And those 4 you're talking about are all underclassmen.
Well, they're 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores.
Yeah.
2 true freshmen and 2 sophomores.
Bodes well for the future, that's for sure. Kicking game, question mark.
Right.
That was a problem for one reason or another on Saturday,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
the wind had something to do with it, but our original kickoff, our first team kickoff guy strained his Achilles in practice last week, so we didn't have him for kickoffs, and we struggled a little bit there. And then Nick, missed the first field goal. Now the one extra point he missed, the ball was there was a problem with the hold and the wind, and the ball was actually not even upright when he kicked it. The one extra point. So we got to get that cleaned up. The whole operation, obviously, our extra point field goal. We obviously can't miss short field goals and extra points. What it did lead was to us, working our 2-point plays pretty good. I think we tried 3 of them and went 2 for 3, which is good to get, because there's going to be a point in time where I think earlier in the year we got a big 2-point play against East Stroudsburg also. So, sometimes you'll go through a whole year and never run a 2-point play. We've run a bunch of them. So here later in the year, if we need to, win a game on a 2-point play, we've had a lot of experience in it in our game. So we got to get the kicking game squared away. If there was one thing from the game Saturday, we got a lot to work on there.
Another question here. Replace all the big guys on both lines for next year.
Right.
And they said name some names. I have some here, but I'm going to let you handle it.
Offensively, what you saw later in the game, you saw our number 2 offensive line. You got Layton, who's a sophomore. You got Aiden Marshall, who's a freshman. You have Felter, who's a true freshman at guard. Santiago, who's a sophomore at tackle. And we had Nelson,
from Indiana,
who's a redshirt freshman in there. So that's the backup group with the offensive line. And then, we've got Comedy and DeJua, who are underclassmen with the offensive line. Defensively, we had Terrell Williams in there playing. He's a redshirt freshman. Who else did we have in there playing with the second group?
With the second group?
Oh, we had Waitman and Noah Vaughn also playing that were underclassmen. So, and then Fazell is only a sophomore. Fowler, who's hurt, is only a sophomore. But we are playing with 2 inside guys, or 2 starting inside guys are seniors, and Will Mayer and Vaughn Wallace are seniors. Kelly's a senior, and then everybody else, they're all underclassmen.
All underclassmen, yeah. Well, it was good to get all these guys in and get them some reps. And you mentioned someone, I was going to bring it up. You mentioned about, on the offensive line, McLean, DeJuha. Does he have another year?
Yeah, he has another year.
I heard that.
He's in grad school. He's already got an undergrad. He's in grad school. He'll have another year. He'll just have to go part-time. He won't be in spring practice because he'll run out of semesters.
Okay.
Well, and that's what happens with the COVID deal. You got guys here 6 years.
Yeah. We talked about that with, Penn State quarterback and so on and on and on. It goes on.
Actually, the crazy thing at that level, guys that don't leave early actually play 5 years. In D2, we didn't play the COVID year. In D1, they played the COVID year and it didn't count.
Yeah.
So that's how a lot of career records at schools are getting broke, because guys are actually playing for 5 years, even though you're allowed to play for 4, because the COVID year didn't count and they played in Division I.
Yeah, that's right. You have to, keep that in perspective, the Division I, Division II situation. It appeared you came out of the game injury-free?
Yeah, we didn't, just normal bumps and bruises, guys that, were banged up a little bit going into the game, played. We'll have to watch how we practice them this week. But other than the 2 guys that are out for the season, unfortunately, we are pretty healthy, on both sides of the ball.
I'm sure that everybody has bumps and bruises this stage of the game. Connor Kelly had to come out for a while, but
he's his guy.
Came back in.
Mitchell. Those 2 are probably the guys that have been banged up a little bit the last week or 2. We've limited them practice time, but they've played in the games. Pretty much everybody that's healthy is practicing. Those 2 guys are beat up a little bit. They're a little more limited in practice. We got to be smart about it. Like I told the team today, a football season's a marathon and not a 40-yard dash. It's not a sprint. And you got to manage how you practice throughout the season and be very smart about that. And I think we do a pretty good job of understanding that, because we've been through this. You got, 3 or 4 of us have been here an awful long time, and we've been through some of these long years, and you've got to watch how you practice here this time of the year.
Well, with players like Kelly and Mitchell, who have been around for years, you can limit them in practice.
And our whole offensive line, really our whole offense is, our 5 starters in the offensive line have played a ton of football. At tight end, Grant, Smith, and Suman have played a ton of football. Laney hasn't, but he's really coming on now and playing really good. But he doesn't have the experience that those guys have. Then when you go to wideout, Dwayne and Carter have played a lot of football. Hilton really hasn't played a ton of football, but he's been here for 5 semesters. And, he did play last year, and he did produce, make some plays for us last year. And then the running backs, other than the 2 freshmen, Hauser and Stewart, it's not their first rodeo either. Our quarterback is a junior. He was a 2-year starter at Pittsburgh State. So we've got a lot of guys on offense that have played a lot of football, and now on defense it's the same way. These freshmen that all started last year, they're playing now as sophomores. So if you have a real young team, you gotta kind of keep practicing the way you've been practicing. But when you've got a veteran team that's played a lot of football, you don't want to wear them down in practice. And you have to practice, don't get me wrong, but you can practice a little bit lighter because they've got a lot of experience.
There were several plays that we're seeing with the tight end, with Grant Smith, with Laney. Would you like to incorporate them a little bit more? That over the middle, that pass to Laney got you big yardage.
Well, the situation with the tight ends down the middle, it depends what coverage we're getting. If we get linebackers and defensive ends covering our tight ends one-on-one, we're going to go down the middle and hit them. Like the Laney catch, we caught them in a coverage where they were double covering our 2 outside receivers, and they had the outside linebacker in man-to-man on Cole. And he just released inside and got vertical, and the outside line, it's a mismatch. And Mac hit him in stride, and it ended up being a 60-yard gain because he ran 40 yards with it. But there's nobody in the middle of the field when you double cover both the outside, or you double cover Ridley and Dwayne, and that uses 4 guys. There's nobody in the middle of the field. The other tight end, Grant, was wide open on the play too. but Cole was more wide open.
Yeah, I noticed back to the injury situation a little bit that Carter was, in and out a little bit.
Right.
But he's been bad.
He's been fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's 100%. He's on every special team. He's a starter when we get in what we call 11 personnel. He's our third wideout. We're getting the ball in his hands on jet sweeps. We got a flip sweep, which actually counts as a reception when you flip it. And I think he had a 12-yard gain early in the game. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's good, kickoff returner, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to get the ball in his hands a little bit more, because he is good, with the ball in his hands.
41-0 over Edinboro. 12 straight wins on the road. 8 in a row, 6 this year, 2 last year. I know every game is a challenge. I'll talk a little bit later, maybe in the next half hour, about the schedule that's coming up for the second half of the season here. But again, you guys just seem to have fun on the road. You have it all in place. Of course, it's always fun when you win, too.
Well, that's a big part of it, but you got to have the right kind of team. We've played 6 of our last 8 games have been on the road. 2 at the end of the year last year and 4 of the first 6 this year. You got to have a team that enjoys being around each other, because you're on the road together for a day and a half. That's got some physical and mental toughness, resilient, enjoy going on the road and playing on another team's stadium. And they're older. We've got an older team that understands, we got great leadership, good togetherness. Those things play a big factor when you get on the road. At home, you got the home crowd. You got a little bit of a home field advantage. When you go on the road, you've got to be really connected, and I think we are, obviously, also as coaches. And we just seem to play well and understand, what the situation is, and just take it one play at a time.
Yeah. All right, coming up, we're going to continue with Hawk Talk. We're live from the Hilton Garden Inn, and we're going to have special guests coming up. We'll talk more with Coach Tortorella. Seton Hill game is 2 o'clock on Saturday at Frank Signetti Field at George P. Miller Stadium. We'll talk about the second half of the season with the games coming up, all of those things as we go along with Hawk Talk. Hope you'll join us each and every week. We enjoyed having the youngsters here tonight, and you're always invited to come down to the Hilton Garden Inn between 6 and 7 o'clock on Monday nights. And we'll be back in a moment, coming your way on U92Radio.com and the U92 Facebook page.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including highly skilled and specially trained surgeons, their support team of experts, and advanced technology like the Da Vinci robotic surgical system. As a result, patients spend less time in the hospital, recover faster, and get treated close to home. So there's no reason to puzzle over where you should get your surgical care. The answer is right here at IRMC.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
I'm with the voice of the IUP Crimson Hawks, Jack Benedict.
And welcome back, everybody, to Hawk Talk here live at the Hilton Garden Inn. We've got Coach Paul Tortorella with us, as we do each and every Monday. And each and every Monday, he brings along a guest. We've got quarterback Mac Sexton with us right now. Mac, good to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, you made your way through the young football players.
Yeah, you remember
when you played at that age?
Long time ago, it seems like.
Okay. Well, I'm going to I'm going to make you feel like a really good player here, although we know you're a really good player, because I want to just tell the fans a little bit about your background and how you got here from Pittsburgh State and so on. But first of all, congratulations, you were named the Western Division Offensive Player of the Week.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
16 of 18 against the Borough yesterday, so that's an accomplishment in itself. You were at Pittsburgh State, and you played 25 games there, so you played a lot of football. You passed for over 4,800 yards, 37 touchdowns. Wow! So you got an opportunity to play a lot there. My first question to you is, when and how did you first learn, when you knew you were going to leave, about IUP?
Yeah, actually, Coach Peter Declan, he hit me up in my Twitter DMs, and I actually didn't even know I was in the transfer portal yet. So I saw the DM from him, went to my email, and swiped up, let it load, and it actually just told me then that I was in the portal. So IUP was the very first school, as soon as I hit the portal, to contact me, and just started building a relationship and blossom into what it is now.
Well, we knew, those of us that follow football on the Division II level, that Pittsburgh State had been a power for years. Once in a while get a bad year. That happens here once in a while, not too often. So you were familiar with IUP?
I wasn't in the past, but yeah, when Coach Pierre hit me up, I started learning about it and saw that it was a great history and great tradition here.
One of the things that really helped out all of us, and you, I would think, is the fact that you had spring ball and you became friends with a former quarterback, Harry Woodbury.
Yeah, he was actually my roommate for all last semester, so got to talk with him and hear his backstory and hear a little bit about the guys on the team, so I had an understanding of that before I was able to play with them, and yeah, it really gelled well.
So he gave you some good tips, what to look out for, what might come about, all of that sort of thing?
Yeah.
What about your reaction? Things change. So the offensive coordinator changed. So what about your reaction there? Well, I was planning on one coach, and now I've got another coach. How'd you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a curveball, especially it happened like one of the first weeks I was here. So, I wasn't expecting that, but I really committed here based on the tradition and the history and the culture as a whole in the program. I really didn't commit here for one guy, so I knew Coach Tort was going to bring in another guy that fit my skill set, and he did, and I'd say it's worked out pretty well.
I'd say so, yeah. Now, we talked about, I just alluded that you played like when these young guys were playing pee-wee ball and all that. But you have a football background because your dad's been involved in it. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, my dad was a trainer for the Buffalo Bills. He started the year after they lost their last Super Bowl, and he was there for, I believe, 5 years. And he was around a bunch of Hall of Fame players, Jim Kelly, Andre Reed. So he had that culture, I guess, mentality, the winner's mentality, and that's how he really addressed my playing football, and especially playing quarterback. I tried to emulate Jim Kelly growing up, his running gunslinger mentality and throwing style, and it's really turned me into the player I am today.
So we've heard the term before pertaining to you as a gunslinger?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay, because we like what's happening here. I got to ask you this. So you played at Pittsburgh State, which I said was a strong power for many, many years. Take a look back. Now, you've only played a short time in the PSAC, but any comparisons about the leagues, that sort of thing, any similarities?
I mean, I think all the Division II conferences have a lot of similarities. There are a lot of great players, and really the whole Division I, Division II thing, it's not as big of a difference as people think. I've played with a lot of Division I players, and the talent level really isn't that different. So just coming to a different conference and being able to see the different guys and different type of athletes that are here, it's still a great conference. There's a lot of great athletes and great players, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
I think it was your dad who told me, because he's at practice a lot, that you have an association or competitiveness with Baker Mayfield?
I would say so. He's a Austin homegrown kid, so I got to watch him a lot growing up throughout high school and stuff, and I like his competitive drive, competitive spirit, and he's a tough individual. I try to emulate that a lot, yeah.
Maybe the best thing is that you have another year, too. Now, when are you graduating?
I'll graduate next fall.
Next fall. Okay, that's good.
I'm in my MBA program right now.
Oh, okay.
Master's.
Yeah. We talked, Coach, before about this young man and about what he adds to the program.
Right.
It just seems like he fits in real well.
Right.
And it works the other way, too, because the guys have to welcome him here.
Yeah, I mean, if you were, with our everyday operations in the organization, if you were there every day, you wouldn't even, if you didn't know anything about his story, you wouldn't even think he was a transfer. You'd have thought he'd been here with these guys for 4 or 5 years, really. And it's been that way with a lot of our transfer quarterbacks, but the other 2 guys that came before him were only here 1 semester. Mac was here in the spring, now the fall, and he'll have another year, so it's even more, he's even got more equity in the program than the guys that were just here 1 semester. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't even know he's a transfer by the way he interacts with the players and the way the players, his teammates, interact with him. So it was great that, we had the off-season program, he was in that, and then we got, obviously spring practice, preseason camp, so he was ready to go. In the opener.
Yeah. What's been the biggest obstacle of any kind coming from Texas to Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard meeting new people and making new friends. It's a whole different situation. It's definitely not, a big city, Austin, so somewhat of a culture shock, but like he said, the whole team is very welcoming, brought me in. I've really gelled with them quickly, and I think it shows on the field now.
We know, being at IUP, Slippery Rock, California, have been the top 2 in recent years as far as the rivalries. Could you notice a difference going into each of those games where there was, I don't want to say more pressure, but just everybody kind of picked it up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Pressure creates diamonds, and we were able to find a way to win 2 tough games, one at home and then one on the road the next week. So I think that really says a lot about our team and our resiliency, and I was glad to see us come away with 2 wins those back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. Now the thing we have to do, or you guys have to do, is think the other way too. Now, here's Seton Hill. They gave California a heck of a battle, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they've got. They've got a lot of talent, and they have 14 seniors starting, so they're a very experienced team. They very easily could have beaten. They were down 7 against Slippery Rock at halftime up at Slippery Rock. Cal, it's 21-14 with they got the ball with 4 minutes to go in the game. Gannon, who's pretty good team in our league, they were beating Gannon 10-7 in the second half. So. The thing about Seton Hill that's interesting, they play better against the better teams. Like, they've lost 2 games on their schedule to teams they probably shouldn't have lost to. Mm-hmm. But they play the better teams very well. So they've got 14 senior starters, so they don't, these kids know what it's like to play against IUP. It won't be a shock to them, mm-hmm. And they've already played Slippery Rock. They've already played Cal, so they've played some of the better teams in the league.
Yeah. Mac, whenever you take a look at these teams, and you take a look at your team at IUP, and quarterbacks say, I love my offensive line. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys have been together for a while. Talk about them a little bit.
No, I mean, their chemistry is off the charts. I couldn't even tell you how many starts they have across the board, but they play like it week in, week out. They know exactly where each other's going to be. They communicate incredibly well, and it's shown. I don't think I've been sacked more than 1 time a game.
2 total. Believe me, I keep track of it.
I know you do.
I don't like him getting hit.
Yeah, well.
And he doesn't. That's the other thing. Like, we didn't have any sacks Saturday, but we hit their quarterback 14 times. So when you hit a guy, it doesn't feel any less whether it's a sack or not. He's still getting hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's only taken 2 sacks, and I think Coach Camp said he's been hit 5 times in 6 games.
Yeah. So. Now, you and Logan Horn set a record for the school. You guys are in the record book already. 19 for 21, 2 of you 90%. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, it seems like you guys get along. There's competitiveness there. I think they know that you're the number one quarterback, and they know their place too. But it just seems to show that there's chemistry there among you guys. You feel it?
No, definitely. I think our QB room is fantastic. We all have a great relationship, and they really do a good job of having my back and helping me out throughout the week of preparation and coverages and different stuff on Saturdays. So, yeah, I love our quarterback room and the chemistry we have in there.
A lot of people talk about the strength of your arm. And I also found this out, too, that you were a baseball player, right?
I was.
Had to be a pitcher, right?
Yes, sir.
Want to talk about your baseball career? Were you ever recruited for it?
That was actually the first recruitment I got was through baseball. I think it was my freshman year. Freshman, sophomore year, I kind of had the idea that I was going to, go forward and play baseball. And then it was after my junior year of high school that I really, buckled down and started going to football camps and really decided that football was my next path. And, it's turned out all right.
You're not going to turn him over a little bit to the baseball coach either, are you?
No, that won't happen.
That won't happen. Okay. Well, listen, Mac, thanks for coming in. I'm glad Coach brought you along, gives the audience and the fans an opportunity to watch you perform. And, we always look for, it's nice, it's going to be nice to be at home, wouldn't it? It seems like we've been on the road all the time.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's worked out so far so good. So keep it going, and we'll see what happens. Good luck to you.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Coach, thanks for bringing Mac Sexton. Player of the Week, PSAC West. He and the guys will be performing 2 o'clock against Seton Hill on Saturday afternoon. Back with the coach in just a moment. We'll return to Hawk Talk live from the Hilton Garden Inn on U92Radio.com and U92 Facebook page.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Come join us in celebrating our grandfather Red Dowd's induction into the Indiana County Business Hall of Fame.
To celebrate, we can't think of anything better than to combine 2 of Dowd's most popular sales.
To honor his legacy and celebrate our 72nd anniversary, we're offering up to 72% off selected floor sample clearance items. Plus, save on all custom orders with every other item up to 1/2 off.
Come celebrate with us, Dowd's of Plumville and Dowd's of Greensburg.
And welcome back, everybody. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. And thanks to Max Sexton. We had some of the other guys here, too, didn't we?
Yeah, they're still here with the kids.
Hanging around
taking
with the
pictures.
Yeah,
and
we're
so
going to, when they get the pictures set up, we'll let you know this Indiana 3rd and 4th grade Pee Wee team and give you their names and all, and give them a little bit of recognition for the great year that they had. Well, let's see, with this team coming up, I mentioned, alluded a little bit earlier to, when you look, if the average fan, I'm going to say the average fan, or maybe some of the fans, will take a look at IUP's schedule and say they're 6-0. Oh boy, the next 4 games look like they're going to be, you got Seton Hill, they haven't won any games. Well, they almost beat Cal. Clarion's won 3 games, new coach. Gannon, veteran team, they've lost 2, got to go up there. It's not that easy, is it?
No, I mean, each game is its own game. Matchups are different. I learned a long time ago comparing scores with other teams and who they played and who we played really is not a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. And you just got to, every game's its own game. You got to get ready to play Saturday. Whatever the team is on your schedule, whether it's home or away, you got to get ready to play. And some teams match up better with other teams. There's a lot more that goes into it. When you get to the game on Saturday, the records are what they are, but like they don't really matter that day. Like once you kick the ball off, because you have a better record doesn't mean you get 10 more points than the other team to start the game. And our kids are aware. The other thing is we usually get everybody's best shot. Teams get fired up to play IUP. And like I said a couple weeks ago, sometimes what you see on film, I tell our players that team you're watching on film this week is really not going to be the team that we play Saturday. They're going to play a lot better. So we just need to understand that, and we talk about a nameless team and a faceless team that we're playing this Saturday. It's about how we prepare and how we play.
We alluded to this just a little while ago, you and I, and with Mac, about the offensive line. So with Petropola, Robinson, Tajuha, Davis, Comedy. When you look back at the 2017 team, are there any comparisons?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comparisons with the 2012 team. We had a strong offensive line. 2017 team, we had a strong offensive line. This line doesn't take a backseat to any of those teams. I think all 5 players are all conference players, all 5 of them. I really believe that because I know what we play against on the other team's offensive line, and I really believe all 5 of our starters are all conference players on our offensive line.
Well, they've proven that they've, so far so good, and there's no reason to see there's anything different. The key is keep them healthy.
Yeah, well, that's been a positive. We've kept them healthy. They're tough. They're physically and mentally tough. They're great kids. They work well together. It's just they're the lifeblood of our program. Really, is that offensive line.
One other thing about Seton Hill, I noticed that they had a new quarterback this week in Tyler Bradley.
Right.
A couple of other guys have played in 6 or 7 games. That was his first. Seemed to do pretty well.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be the starter against us. He's he's really big. They're a big team. They have two. They have a 6'5" receiver and 2 6'3" receivers. Their quarterback's 6'5". The guy that played earlier in the year, that's more of an athletic guy, 6'3". So their offensive line's huge. They probably have the biggest offensive team we've played all year.
Wow. That'll be a challenge in itself.
I mean, when you're covering guys, Edinboro had smaller receivers. They were even smaller than I thought they were when I seen them in person. This team's gonna have big receivers, and sometimes they're a little bit harder to cover.
Well, it'll be a challenge for the defense, especially for your young secondary, which really seems to be coming along. I guess I'm going to introduce here to you the youngsters that are with us today. Are we ready for them? No, we'll get them set up. This is the Indiana 3rd and 4th grade Pee Wee team that this year won a championship and came away with only 1 loss. It's good to see that there are young people playing the game.
Sure. There's a lot, there's a lot of other, with the way that growing up now compared to 20 years ago, there's a lot more other things, video, social media, other sports. So it's good to have a good group of kids playing football at this age.
By the way, their coaches are Doug Steve and Mark Cannavale, Charles Similton, Rick Smith, and Kyle Bruno. They have guided these young players, and I will mention them from down the line, I guess, whenever. Am I ready to do that? All right, if they line them up and we're all set? Okay, good. First of all, we have Colberta. Hold on. Okay. This is impromptu television. Hawk Talk is what we call it. And I don't know, you can call it what else you want, but it's a lot of fun with these young people here today. The game, by the way, 2 o'clock on Saturday, and keep in mind, I do want to mention something else, too, with the situation. The IUP Athletic Department is providing a whole bunch of tickets, up to a couple thousand, to Indiana High School students, to the Indiana High students. Now, that's from K to grade 8. For the game in conjunction with the weekend and with Breast Cancer Awareness Days. And our partner Pat Doherty is going to be interviewing Dr. Dan Clark. We have a halftime feature for you on our U92 radio broadcast. That'll be on Saturday. Okay, we're all set, so Coach Steve will set them all. Cole Berta is the first player. And next up, there we go. Okay, good. Mason Clutter.
Get your hat so they can see your face. There you go.
Nice. Let's see. We've got Brady Simelton. Eli Hilliard. Oh, boy. Some are hams and some aren't. Michael Carnavale. Where's Michael?
He just got jumped out. He
jumped out already.
He's got his co-op sweatshirt on, I see.
Okay.
Must know somebody.
Jonah McKendrick. All right. Brady Smith. Number 19 there. Dean Hart. Ben Steve. Okay. Anthony Santelli. Roman Wright. Emmett Wright. And Michael Lohman. How about a round of applause for this?
I forgot 2 coaches.
I got your coaches right here.
I forgot 2 of them.
He forgot 2 coaches. Well, it's not the first time that I've worked
Better
with.
not forget them. They won't come back.
Yeah.
He'll be looking for a whole new staff.
Dean Hart and Brad Wright added to Doug Steve, Mike Carnavale, Charles Simelton, Rick Smith, and Kyle Bruno. Thank you, one and all. We're glad that they were able to come by and partake in our show here today, Hawk Talk, and I just never know what I'm supposed to do, so I just kind of ad-lib my way through this. Coach, I'll tell you what, by the way, the AFCA Coaches Poll came out today. I know you guys don't pay a lot of attention to that. It's a fan-type thing. Mm-hmm. It's nice to be mentioned among the elite. I think it's a couple of the undefeated teams lost. Of course, the Grand Valley Ferris State game was, Grand Valley won it by 1, and they're number 1 now. So it's down about, 12, 13 teams that are undefeated in the country?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yep.
That's a very select group. How many teams in Division II are there?
I think 156.
Wow, yeah. So that's, that's really a select group there. Shepherd is also in the top, and Slippery Rock's a couple of points or a couple of ranks behind the Crimson Hawks. It'll be an interesting afternoon, I would think, when you get back to play. It's just seemed that been on the road so much,
right?
And an opportunity here with the team to really keep things going, get home. How much do you have to motivate them after all these games and all these years?
Well, it depends what kind of team you have. This is a veteran team. They get it. Sometimes, and it's a team that's been around. We only have 3 or 4 new transfers. Some teams have 15, 20 new transfers, and that's like having a whole new team, and it takes a while to assimilate and so forth. So, we don't have that issue. We're older, not a lot of transfers. Our guys kind of know how we do things. They've got a lot invested in the program, and every Saturday they've shown up and have put their best foot forward. We've had good weeks of practice. And they're willing to work. They're together. They're very coachable.
Yeah.
And I think our staff's done a great job. I said to the staff today, on the sideline, as the game goes on, the other coaches are pretty busy. So I kind of see a little bit more of what's going on. And I just feel like, this season in every game on both sides of the ball and even in the kicking game, we're really one step ahead of our opponent. I really believe that. And that's a good feeling to have as the head coach.
Preparation and organization, right?
And I really feel like offensively, defensively, and special teams wise, we're ready for what's next. And we're kind of one step ahead of our opponent. So, that's not easy to do. It's not, easy to get on on game day, because you got to make decisions quickly, but you got to be prepared and you've got to do the work during the week. And our staff has done a great job, all of them knowing their roles, knowing what they're in charge of. Distractions, keeping the distractions to a minimum with our team. And I just feel like our staff up to this point's been tremendous.
We've been talking about winners here tonight. I want to congratulate, and I know you do too, golf coach Dan Braun.
Correct.
32nd PSAC golf championship. That's unmatched of any sport in the conference. I mean, that's just tremendous. So they've done another great job. That's been a great tradition here at IUP.
Well, I joked with those guys today on Twitter. Between him and Lombardi, they're hard to keep up with.
And they're right in the same area, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where the offices are.
Yeah. So they're hard to keep up with. They pawn those championships out every year, it seems like. So we got to stay up with them, I guess.
Well, you mentioned Coach Lombardi. That brings to mind basketball. And on a sad note, I found out earlier today that IUP Hall of Fame coach Tony Bernardi passed away at age 87. You talk about Hall of Fame coaches. He coached with Carl Davis, Tom Beck, Herm Sledzik, Wally Stapleton, my friend Bill Betts. They were all, I have a picture of all of them from back when. And so to his family, Tony's family, we send our condolences. He passed away at the age of 87 over the weekend. So, we see them come, but we're glad that they were here.
Right.
14 years an assistant, and then he had another job. It was like guidance counseling, and teaching.
Right, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Coach, thank you again. Thanks for Mac coming over, and we'll see what happens during the course of the week. Good luck this week, and have a couple of cold days for practice.
Yeah, tomorrow and Wednesday it's supposed to be a little bit cold and windy like it was Saturday, and then later in the week it's supposed to be nice, and long range forecast for game day is really good. So
yeah, Saturday looks good.
Usually when it starts to turn like it's turning Tuesday and Wednesday, it kind of stays that way, but we're going to get some good weather after the next 2 days. And I told the team this is the time of the year when the weather starts changing, where the teams that are quote unquote contenders take their game to another level, and the teams that aren't kind of flatten out and don't get better. And so this is a part of the season where we need to improve our game and kind of upgrade our performance.
Yeah. Good luck Saturday.
Thanks, Jack.
2 o'clock kickoff. We'll be on the air at 1:30 with our pregame show. I want to thank our producer at Render Broadcast Studios, Danielle Pisarczyk. She runs all of our games for IUP, and to the crew here headed up by John Smathers and Carrie Rako. Thank you one and all, and to the youngsters here, we appreciate all of your participation. That's it for Hawk Talk for this week. Stop in sometime at the Hilton Garden Inn and maybe make it a point on Monday between 6 and 7 o'clock. That's it from here. This is Jack Benedict for the coach. We wish you a very good evening.